Welcome back to Storybaggers. Today we will be reading chapter 11. On with the story. Superhero or not, Bobble was grounded. To be more precise, he was hanging meekly upside down from his branch, listening while his mum gave him a piece of her mind about his and Vesper's recent adventure. And what in Haven's name are Vesper's mum and dad going to say when they find out he's been eating vegetables? Beans! The very idea. What next? Sausage and chips? Your fruit bats, for Haven's sake! She flapped, more loudly than she needed to, down to the end of the branch, and looked out towards the twinkling lights of Haven Town. She sighed. Deeply. This is your dad's side of the family coming out. You mark my words. You can't shake off those masked bats. Uncle Bendigo, beans. Nothing good ever came of eating beans. Bobble sighed. Vesper didn't mean to, Mum, honest. It just sort of popped into his mouth. He thought for a moment. To be fair, his mouth's open quite a lot of the time. Then he brightened. And Dr Koumori did say that we saved the day. Bobble thought back to his teacher's astonished face when they told him the news about Vesper's bean planting. It had all been very pleasing. His mum grunted. Well, yes, you did well, both of you. Your dad and I are very proud. But, Bobble, she shuffled up next to him and placed a warm claw around his. You must be careful, love. You're not a strong flyer. You have no idea of the risks out there. As a matter of fact, I think I have a pretty good idea, thought Bobble, grimly, but he didn't say it out loud. No point in telling his mum about Boo yet. She'd only hang him up for a week. It was Boo who had told Bobble the plan of the vampires and their leader, Old Batwings, to trap and kill Happy Endings. And it was Boo who had unknowingly summoned Bobble and Vesper's inner heroes and given them a steely determination to scupper any Nightcrawler plot, whatever the cost, even if it meant missing breakfast. Bobble owed a lot to Boo, but there were some things that Minty Mallenby didn't need to know. Dr Koumori said that messages had been sent, that help would come. As he started to drift off to sleep, Bobble wondered what Great Uncle Bendigo would do if he ever met Old Batwings. That would be a sight worth seeing. Those Nightcrawlers had better just watch out. Bobble's mum settled down next to him. She yawned, politely covering her mouth with her claw. Would you like me to tell you a bedtime story, love? It's okay, Mum. I'm worn out. I think I'm going to go to sleep pretty quickly this morning. There was a long pause as drowsiness settled comfortably around them. Then she spoke again, almost to herself. It's funny. I've just remembered a bit of a story that my dad used to tell me when I was a little bat. But I can't remember the ending. Haven't thought of it in years. How did it go again? Isn't it funny how you forget things that you used to know off by heart? Bobble opened an eye. Which story? The one about the golden frying pan. Golden frying pan? Yes, you know, the golden frying pan. Someone got hit on the head or something like that. Nope, never heard of it. Now it was his mum's turn to open an eye. She swiveled her head to look at her son. Never heard of it? Are you sure? It was one of my favourites. But now that I think of it, maybe I haven't ever told you that story. Well, let's see, how did it go? There were two brothers, Boris and Norris, and I think there were two frying pans, not just one, but they weren't both golden. Well now, isn't that strange? I can't seem to remember how it went at all. It was a long time ago. But I do remember I did like that story. I was always asking for it. There was something about stew and a witch, or was it a giant? Or was that the one about Lady Silverfrost and the Goblin King? Goodness me, my memory's getting terrible. I'll have to ask your dad if he remembers how it goes. Bobble was wide awake now, and thinking. And the thought he was thinking was, what in Haven can make a story disappear? Why couldn't his mum remember her favourite story from when she was little? Who were Lady Silverfrost and the Goblin King? Was it possible that he was hearing the last whispers of stories that had already been bagged by the Nightcrawlers? And if so, then how many more had been taken, simply disappearing from the collective memory like steam from a cooling cup of tea? Bobble knew that stories needed to be told to survive. If a story wasn't told, it would die. Was there anyone left in Haven who could remember enough of it to tell the story of the golden frying pan? And if it had disappeared in Haven, then the golden frying pan was a story that could never be told in the Red World either. He made up his mind to ask about it in class that evening. If anyone knew, it would be Dr Koumori. When Dr Koumori looked up from taking the register in the battery that evening, He found himself looking into 8 pairs of expectant eyes. News spread around the fruit bat colony faster than fleas on a funky ferret, and the class wanted to know what was going on. He closed his eyes and considered for a moment, before straightening his back and his glasses. Class, tonight we are going to learn some new skills. There was a flutter of excitement along the rails, and lots of "I told you" and "shh"ing, and the class leaned forward, eager to hear more. Finding fruit is a fine skill for a fruit bat, and you're all really good at it now. Let's see if we can use those skills to find other things too. Stories, for instance. Who can tell me how to spot a story? Ooh, ooh, me! Blossom jabbed a claw high in the air, sending the rest of her rail flailing for balance. Yes, Blossom? Pipe down, Pippin. Sparkles, sir. Sparkles and glimmers and shiny, shiny things. Very good. Shiny, shiny things indeed. Stories give off light. Well, good ones do at least. They can't help it. They are so full of joy and energy that you will see sparks, gleams and glints wherever a story goes. They are beautiful things. Dr. Koumori paused and smiled. They are treasures beyond price. Here in Haven they can rest. Here they recharge themselves, ready to be spun another night. It is an honour and a privilege that they entrust themselves to us. But no 2 stories are the same, and they are not all peaceful creatures. So, class, you need to pay attention. Sometimes stories will glow softly, like flickering candle flames, sometimes small, sometimes stretching themselves out, playing quietly without trying to involve anyone else. But other stories want to be seen, interacted with, and take no care at all to hide themselves away. If you find a story in this mood, you are encountering story energy as wild and unpredictable as it can be. This is a story that wants to chase and tease. It is daring you to grab its tail. Do not. The class jolted when Dr. Koumori raised his voice. The effect was that of a strong wind blowing the rows of hanging bats back on their rails. Grabbing this story's tail would be as unwise as grabbing a string of firecrackers when they are being lit. It will lead you a merry dance, and there is no knowing where such a story will take you if it can. You may become a part of the story, forget who you really are, and lose yourself entirely in the plot. That, I'm afraid to say, would be the end of you. Stories have infinitely more energy than you, and would wear you out long before the ending. Bobble thought back to the 2 stories he and Vesper had stumbled across. Sleeping Beauty was definitely the firecracker type, he considered. It had been fast-moving, playful, full of mischief, but Jack and the Beanstalk, well, that had been quieter and much harder to spot in the moonlight once it had lodged itself in the old man's eye. He had to admit that it was sheer luck that had enabled them to save either of those stories. That and Vesper's determination to snack. Bobble glanced across at his best friend, who was hanging next to him on the rail, 2nd row back, and his eye was caught by a small piece of red material sticking out of Vesper's waistcoat pocket. Psst!
What?
What's that?
What?
That!
What?
Really, thought Bobble, Vesper Thistle could be a bit dim sometimes. That red thing. Bobble Mallenby, kindly stop distracting Vesper. You, of all bats, should be listening to how to track a story safely. Dr. Koumori could be very stern when he used his big bat voice, and Bobble hung his head quietly. For a bit. After a minute or so, he felt a nudge from Vesper.
Although you are the class, it's a secret.
Vesper placed a claw alongside his nose and winked.
Ta-da!
Vesper pulled the red thing out of his pocket with a dramatic flourish. Bobble looked at it. It was a small, rather crumpled scrap of red cloth. Very possibly a piece of old duster. On it, someone had drawn in charcoal an attempt at the outline of a bat. It was a bit smudged, and one wing was bigger than the other.
It's a badge! Mum's going to sew it onto the inside of my waistcoat so that it stays secret.
What's it for?
For Big V, silly. Look! See how the wings of the bat make the shape of a V? How smart is that, then? You want one?
Oh, no thanks, Vesper. It's really nice, but I don't think it's quite me. I can't be Big V, can I? Vesper thought for a moment.
Yes, I suppose that's true. There is only one Big V. We'll have to think of a secret sign for you to wear, too. Give me some time. I'm bound to think of something.
Dr. Koumori assembled the class at the edge of the orchard so they could practice stealth flying and evasive manoeuvres, getting out of trouble quickly. Blossom was still having trouble with the idea of stealth. She kept shooting her wing into the air and making ooh ooh noises whenever she needed to ask a question, which was quite a lot as it turned out. Ooh, ooh, Dr. Koumori! Yes, Blossom. Why are we being stealthy? Actually, that's a very good question, Blossom, and I'm glad that you asked. Blossom blushed and looked up at him from under her long lashes. You need to practice stealth flying so that you can monitor what the vampire bats are up to, but not draw attention to yourselves in the process. You will need to monitor and report, but not, I repeat, not take on the vampires yourself. There are others who are older, bigger, and more able to do that. Your job is to watch, but to stay hidden and unobtrusive. Vesper furtively tucked the bright red badge further down into his pockets.
Shall we be hiding in trees, sir?
Yes, indeed, Vesper. Hiding and dodging, ducking and diving, but quietly, secretly. You will be as smoke rising from a fire in fog. You will be like the wind as it whispers through the leaves on... Not that kind of wind, Pippin! Dr. Koumori turned to glare at the small bat who had made the rude noise. Honestly, this was going to be a long night. In tomorrow's Story Baggers, Bobble and his classmates try out some new sneaky skills. Till then, stay safe everyone, stay inside, and good night.